Well, now let's welcome our special guest, stars of the brand new special on Disney Plus, Muppets Haunted Mansion, Muppet performers Dave Goelz and Bill Barretta. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you, Bree. And
Nice to
Chris,
see you,
is a
Bree.
new guy that I don't know yet.
Chris and I go back. That's Chris, Dave. You guys haven't met yet.
Okay.
Well, let's get right into it. This question is for both of you. What were your experiences with Disney parks growing up, and what were your favorite attractions? But Dave, why don't you go first?
I have to go first because Bill lived in Philly, and how would he even know? He probably never.
I went once as a kid.
Yeah,
but go ahead, Dave.
Well, let's start with you. When did you go?
No. You're much more interesting.
Well, that's a lot of pressure to put on me. All right. I went, I did not go on the day that it opened, July 17th, 1955, because I had the mumps and because I probably couldn't have gotten in anyway. I didn't realize that because I was 9 years old. But I was tremendously excited about Disneyland because we had seen it promoted by Walt on the TV series for a year and watched it being built. And so when I finally did get there later that summer, I was delirious. And looking back now, of course, it wasn't fully landscaped at that time, but it was way beyond any theme park I had ever been to. In fact, it was the first theme park, any amusement park I'd ever been to, way beyond. I love Disneyland. I probably went every year, once a year from the time I was a kid onward. Still enjoy it. Now, once in a while, I get to go behind the scenes of something, and that's fun. So that's the end of my answer.
I went once as a kid. As Dave said, I grew up back east in Pennsylvania, and it was the first time I had ever been on an airplane. My mother took my brother and I, and my godfather actually lives in California, so we were kind of doing a family thing as well. So it was a big trip to come out here. I remember moments. I don't remember like the day necessarily, but I think I remember more from photos that we have. You know, I have Captain Hook with his hook up to my neck, posing with different characters. And then I think the thing that I remember the most was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, when that was there. And that was, I couldn't believe that we went in a submarine and went underwater and, you know, had no idea, completely bought into it and believed it all. And it was just amazing. And like Dave said, now, you know, my son loves Disneyland. We go as often as we can. We haven't since COVID, but but we go all the time. He loves it. And I think he would want to be a guide there someday. He loves it so much. He knows so much about it, tells me everything, all the little things around the park. And like Dave said, behind the scenes has been amazing. You know, to get to do commercials and things is just, you haven't, you know, I don't want to break the illusion for anybody else, but there are certainly things where you go, what? No, how can that be? I thought that was, you know.
That's kind of the best part, having that kind of Disney magic in the parks and, you know, still having that childlike amusement. I just went 2 days ago and there were like these new rides and I'm like, I don't understand how this is real. Like how, and like, I know behind the scenes, I know that there's Imagineers who, you know, create technology and all of that, but it's just so amazing. But Dave, we've kind of talked for many years, and I know that you as a kid wanted to be an Imagineer. So, you know, like the Haunted Mansion attraction kind of opened when you were a young adult living in LA. You know, what was it like getting to work with this rich Imagineering history for this particular project, Muppets Haunted Mansion?
Well, it was terrific. And there was a period about, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe, when I worked with the Imagineering R&D guys to do the Muppet mobile lab with Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker. And this was a device that could drive around the park. And it was sort of a big egg-shaped module on a pair of wheels. It used a, what do you call it? The Segway technology.
Segway?
And so it was just it didn't look like it could possibly work, but it was this egg-shaped spaceship with Bunsen inside in a cockpit and Beaker on the back of it, way up high, pedaling. And the thing could actually drive around the parks, and we had cameras they built cameras all over it, 7 cameras, with one being right between Bunsen's eyes on his glasses. so that when he looked at somebody, he could look right at them and talk right to them. And I was in a control room, hundreds of feet away, and it was just a bizarre and fun thing to do. And so for that project, I worked with the R&D guys at Imagineering for, I think it probably was a couple years. We did play testing in the park. I went down to Imagineering all the time. Really nice guys, best part of the whole company, just such a bunch of great guys. And I'm petering off. That's the end of my, oh, here comes the end of my answer. There it is.
Oh, there it goes.
For the both of you, for working with the Haunted Mansion, did you guys have kind of an invested interest in the attraction? What was kind of like that like?
I mean, I would say it's probably pretty close to being my favorite attraction in the park. I mean, I've always loved Pirates of the Caribbean, but I think Haunted Mansion is probably, it's probably really up there. I would say it's probably my favorite. So I love just the idea of just the look of it, and creating a special that's dark and rich, that it's not all bright and shiny and that kind of thing, which we kind of go to sometimes, pretty often, more than not. So I really like the idea of being in that kind of space, shadows and candlelight and all of that, and it really looks beautiful. I think we captured that. But the fun for me was trying to figure out which characters would be fun to play, certain iconic Haunted Mansion characters. That was really fun to do. And then it just kind of fit, I thought, great for Gonzo. We had done these live shows that I think we really had fun with. The Muppets at the Take the Hollywood Bowl and Take the O2. And in there was this routine, Gonzo's Magical Delusions. And I just thought how fun it would be to have Gonzo and this kind of magic element to the story, that this would be kind of his storyline. And so we bounced that around, and it just kind of worked well, him and his magical delusions and the mansion.
Yeah. This is slightly off that topic, but talking about Disneyland, it was always my gold standard. I grew up in Burbank, literally a couple miles from the studio. But it was Los Angeles, and I was aware of the Sierras and aware of some other places that were really atmospheric and beautiful, beautiful nature. But Disney was my golden standard for nature. I mean, the Jungle Boat ride. I loved the Jungle Cruise. And those kinds of things stuck with me, and they're still with me to this day. I mean, I go up to the Adirondacks to hang out with friends every year, and there's an isthmus that goes between two lakes, and you go through in a kayak, and the reeds are sticking up out of the water, and there a log is floating. And I always get there and I think, this is perfect. This is just like Disneyland. And I mean, it's like a permanent part of my life. It's the gold standard for beauty and fidelity to reality and nature.
Yeah, and it's just such a perfect place for the Muppets to be. I feel like when it was announced, there was just kind of universal acclaim of course, it makes so much sense. Well, Bill, we know that you not only have had a hand in bringing to life several characters, but you've also had a hand in, writing and producing Muppet stories for television and film. How did the idea for Muppet Haunted Mansion come about, and how was it pitched?
Well, the idea came about, it was Muppet Studios was talking with Disney Plus, talking about wanting to come up with some specials. And I don't know the exact root of it, but I know that I had a meeting with Lee and Lee Slaughter, the head of the Muppet Studio, and we were talking around some ideas, and I'm not exactly sure who said exactly, we should go with the Haunted Mansion, but it was pitched as, let's try and come up with something fun with one of the park rides and see if there's something that could be fun to combine. And so myself and Kelly Younger, Kirk Thatcher, Jim Lewis, we kind of were beating it around some ideas, and out of those ridiculous brains came this idea to mix the two things. And then again, like I mentioned, I just love the idea of Gonzo and his magic, and maybe working that into some Halloween night. You know, when we went with the mansion, we thought Halloween, and we thought, well, there's a special, right, to go with a Halloween special. And for years, Henson and the Muppets had been trying to come up with, you know, a Halloween special, and a lot of different ideas had gone around, and it just never happened. I think, Dave, maybe you're privy to some of those.
It was worked on from at least the early to mid 90s. I remember that specifically. It was always on the development slate to do a Halloween special. And in broad terms, the reason that it didn't happen was it was impossible to figure out what age group to pitch it at, because we didn't want to scare little kids, and yet we wanted to keep adults engaged. And there was just no way to solve that at the time. Now little kids are much braver than grown-ups, so they're used to everything, and I guess it's easier to do this now.
Yeah, I think that helped a lot, having the having it be the Haunted Mansion. And we also talked about, you know, we don't want it to be exactly the Haunted Mansion, but it would be kind of a mashup of all the different mansions in the parks. And so we're creating our own, even though it feels like it's that one. So I think we felt we wanted to make it for the whole family. And yes, kids might get scared a little bit a few times. I think that's a good thing, you know? And so, you know, we pitched the idea to Disney Plus, and they were really excited about it. And we just went back and started writing and having some fun.
Yeah, that seems, I mean, that was, you know, the inception of the Haunted Mansion was, you know, Walt not wanting it to be super scary, have a nice facade and kind of, you know, some fun, you know, haunts where you can laugh and still kind of have those spooky moments. So the fact that you know, the Muppets also had that push and pull kind of makes it a perfect project.
Yeah, the music too, I think, is what makes it feel okay and not as scary. And we always felt that, well, then we're gonna, you know, this should be a musical special. So I think that helps a lot too. When you go to the Haunted Mansion, right away you're hearing that fun music. So it keeps it light that way too, I think.
Yeah, stylistically, I think it's a brilliant choice to use big band music for this. It's just so celebratory, and it feels like you're in a special place that's not of this time. Really great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I just love the kind of combination of the Haunted Mansions, make it accessible for everyone, no matter where your personal favorite Haunted Mansion lies in the world. It's, you know, kind of reminiscent of everyone.
Yeah, I think when kids get scared, it just gives you a chance to hug them anyway. So
Exactly. Well, this special has an all-star cast of characters, and one special that we wanted to talk about was including Ed Asner and one of his final appearances on screen. You know, what was it like working with such a show business legend?
Oh, Dave, you want me to?
You should do that. I didn't actually meet him.
Oh, that's true. Right. You didn't get to work with him that day. Yeah. Well, I'm fortunate enough to meet Ed a couple times over the years, because through friends and at a birthday kind of thing. And he was just this kind of just brutally honest guy, you know, very funny, biting wit, just brilliant, funny man. And I was just in awe, because I grew up with Mary Tyler Moore Show, and you know, he was just an icon to me. And so when we did this, we were shooting some things and he was waiting. And so I just went back to just make sure he was doing okay. And we just sat there and talked a little bit. And, you know, he's a little gruff. I asked him if he was okay, you know, and I'll take the curse word out of it. But he was like, I'm sitting in this chair, you know, I'm fine, you know. But just a sweet guy, and boy, just a privilege and an honor to watch him work. And people just were amazed just to be around him. You know, they brought him in and everybody's like, Ed Asner, it's Ed, look, it's Ed, you know. He was just so great, just a lovely man.
Well, we can't wait to watch. Just such a unique marriage of Disney parks and Muppets, and certainly not the first collaboration between the two. Obviously, there's still Muppet Vision 3D, one of Jim's final projects, still going strong at Disney's Hollywood Studios, right across from a Rizzo-themed restaurant. There have been small shows at Epcot and Magic Kingdom, as you spoke about before, the Muppet Mobile Labs. If you had your choice, where in Disney parks would you want the Muppets to go next?
Oh. I never
You mean as
thought
an
of-
installation type thing, as a ride kind of thing?
Where would you see them fitting the best, or where would you see your character of yours really thrive?
Hmm.
A land, particular park?
Boy, I don't know. I mean,
It's funny. I
anywhere.
don't know about you, Bill, but I
Yeah.
look at Disneyland as a 9-year-old. I don't think about business tie-ins with it really.
Right, right.
It doesn't even
There
occur
was-
to me.
There was one thing I remember we talked about years ago was the Aerosmith. What's the ride with the Aerosmith?
Rock and roller coaster.
I just always thought it'd be fun to either have the band, the Electric Mayhem band, as that ride, maybe, or having them at the Electric Mayhem bus driving through the parks playing music. I just thought that would always kind of be a fun thing to do.
That'd be a fun time for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, like it pulls up and the bus wall comes out and they perform and closes and they drive away or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Dave, you're like, Gonzo can't show up anywhere in the parks. It wouldn't even make any sense unless there's a chicken farm.
That's kind of a racial slur, isn't it?
Excuse me.
Well, I mean, Bree was
Clearly,
a
Bree
safari
is
driver, so I would definitely sign up to see a Muppet Kilimanjaro safari any day.
Oh, really?
All right.
Where did you do that? In Florida?
Yeah, and Animal Kingdom in Florida did a 6-month stint driving safari trucks. trying not to
Wow.
hit animals while driving. They let college students actually drive these big old trucks, and yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
See, I would have loved to have a job at Disneyland. That would have been a dream, but I didn't know how to do it. In fact, when I graduated from college, I was a designer, and I literally contacted another graduate that I knew at WED Enterprises, which was Imagineering in those days, and had an interview. But they said, "Well, we don't really need any more industrial designers. We have 2," and so I just went off and had a different career. But I told him I'd work for like 40%
Goodness.
of 40% of the normal, salary. But that's how motivated I was. I really wanted to be a part of it.
Well, we're
Well, I'm
glad.
glad you weren't.
It worked out all right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us today, Dave and Bill. And you can watch Muppets Haunted Mansion now on Disney Plus. Thank you.
Oh, that'd be
Guys.
fun. Thanks,
Yeah, let's
guys.
do that.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. Good to talk to you. Hey, Bill, it's
Hey.
good we called each other about what to wear.
Look at,
We
got glasses and black shirts.
Yeah, it's just us. Now, look, Bree, if you want us to change, one of us to change, we'll do that. We'll do that. for
Yeah,
you.
we can do that. It's not a problem.
I mean,
Well,
luckily,
it's embarrassing showing up to the party wearing the same outfit. So
I know, the same dress. We went to the same outdoor shop.